And we're back on this special edition of News Channel 9 Weekend, joined right now by Pastor Daren Jaime of the People's AME Zion Church in Syracuse. Pastor, thank you for joining us this evening.
Hey, Dan. Thanks for having me.
It's good to see you. Bill Fitzpatrick a moment ago talked about how important the work of you and the pastoral, the ministerial alliance is. Tell me right now what you and your fellow pastors are doing and saying to the community.
Well, I think there's great work going on with all the pastors across the city. I think we recognize the urgency of the matter. No one is excited about what happened last night. No one praises what happened last night. Looting is stealing, and for those of us who are in the faith community, that's a sin. So nobody condones looting. But what we are doing is trying to convene voices, voices to be able to articulate the issue. We support peaceful protests. We support being able to really address the issues that are going on in our community, to look at a situation like George Floyd, to look at Arbery, to look at Taylor, and think that nothing can be said to that or nothing is being done to that. And around our community are urging our community, first of all, to stay home and observe the curfew. Second of all, to take advantage of the fact that we can have peaceful protests and raise the awareness. And lastly, out of all of that, continue to put the pressure on everyone to be a voice for a senseless murder.
All the cases you mentioned, including the most recent, Mr. Floyd's death last week in Minneapolis at the hands of a white police officer, raise the question and drive the issue. And yet here in Syracuse, the relationship between police and the black community has been fairly calm lately, has it not?
It's been fairly calm, but let's not be so presumptuous in the fact that what we saw yesterday is a microcosm of a macrocosm. What we're seeing right now is, a whole country who has been dealing with systematic oppression, dealing with racism, dealing with injustice, the criminal justice system being unfair, communities of color being unfairly targeted. And so people do say enough is enough. And so we've had the wait and see. We've had let's wait till all the facts come out. But when you watch for 9 minutes, a man with a pressure being applied to his neck, already being held down, you got a situation. He's crying for his mother, and yet and still on the same day that his mother died, he then dies. People are saying enough is enough.
When the governor spoke today, Pastor Jaime, he urged the federal legislation in every state to adopt legislation that would require police misconduct investigations be conducted by independent outside agencies instead of local prosecutors. And if the federal government defines excessive force by a police officer, it should be the same across the country. Do you agree with that? Do we need more legislation at both the state and federal levels to crack down on such police violence?
Yeah, we do need more legislation, and we need more legislation to crack down, because obviously when we look, we find that those situations, out of all of those cases, I heard the governor just a few minutes ago in your interview call off a list of cases from New York City. I'm from New York City, and most of those cases didn't result in a criminal prosecution. It ended up with a civil matter being rectified. So yes, every possible attempt to do due diligence and justice. You can't keep saying these incidents keep happening and everybody's always wrong. No, there's some injustice, and we need every possible method of the legal system, every legal recourse to be able to see that due process happens, but then also that we also get due convictions.
And in the case of the peaceful protests and the energy that is associated with it, short of violence, other than the protests, what can we do locally as a society? What should we do to channel that energy into positive change?
Well, I'm a person that grew up under Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in terms of philosophy. I understand that protesting is necessary, and it is. You have protesting on one side, but you also have policy on the other. It's one thing to raise awareness, and that's what protesting does. Now, to shift that, there has to be a shifting of policy. So developing new policies and strategies and having those discussions, reversing laws, looking at what really doesn't work, looking at what's unfair. It's not just about equality reality, it's about equity. And so what we have to do is practice what we preach in terms of addressing policy, addressing strategies, and really dealing with the matter at hand. We do a lot of surface work, and that's great, but sometimes we're going to have to take a deeper dive to be able to deal with these issues, because these issues aren't surface issues. These are issues that have systematically gone on for decades and even centuries.
Pastor, finally, your word tonight to the communities of Syracuse, your word to the people.
Well, first of all, I do want to give a special thanks to those who peacefully protested. I think yesterday we saw a great peaceful protest, and it was others who weren't a part of that peaceful protest who turned that bad. Secondly, there is this curfew that's out there right now, a mandatory curfew, and we want to encourage all of our city residents, all of our county residents to observe that curfew. Let's not put ourselves at risk. Coronavirus, which we're not even talking about in this conversation, is still out there, and it's still very rampant. In our community, 13205, the highest rate of infections. So we want to make sure that people are taking the proper risks, taking the proper precautions against those risks. So let's observe what city and county officials have done. And yes, we will get through this. And yes, we do believe that justice will be served. But don't expect people not to protest, and don't expect their voices not to just be muted simply because it's gone on for far too long.
Pastor Daren Jaime of the People's AME Zion Church in Syracuse, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate you.
Yeah, we'll be right back.